My friend, welcome. If you're watching this video, there's a reason for that. And I hope that in the time that we're going to spend, I can help you achieve what it is you're looking for. If you're here, you're probably looking for some sort of change in your life. Maybe you're wanting to make more money. Maybe you're wanting to control your time more. Maybe you want to quit your job and create a new side hustle for yourself, one that allows you more freedom. Maybe you're a person that's retired and is looking to supplement their income. Or maybe you're just a person that's burnt out and needs a change in their current job or business. Whatever that reason is, I want to share with you the strategy that I used to create change in my life. I used to be a corrections officer. I worked at the Utah State Prison. I made less than $50,000 a year and I wanted change. I wanted to make more money and I didn't want to work graveyard shifts, 12-hour shifts. And I want to be able to see my wife and my child. And so I'm going to share with you how I did that, how I was able to eliminate my job, quit my job as a corrections officer in 2017, and go into real estate full-time and make a six-figure income for myself while working less than 30 hours a week. Okay, so to start off, I want to show you real quick, just who I am and basically show you that I have experience in the strategy that I'm going to teach you. Okay, and that I'm not just teaching something that I read somewhere. I actually have experience. So who am I? First of all, like I said, I'm a former corrections officer. I used to be a member of the Utah Army National Guard. I'm a husband, been married for 5 years, and I have a young son. Love to travel, be outside. These pictures of obviously me and my wife and our dog. And I looked to real estate as a means to get out of my job as a corrections officer. Okay. And I'm going to share with you real quickly right now what that strategy is. I'm going to show you some case studies and explain very briefly the strategy that I used. Okay. So here's some case studies. And let me do this. Let's do this. Okay, that works too. So this is a property that I did not buy. I didn't rehab it. I didn't rent it out. I did not purchase this property. So how did I make money on it? Let me explain. The strategy that I use has many different names. You may have heard of it. Some call it tax sale overages, surplus funds from mortgage foreclosures, excess proceeds recovery, whatever it is. But this is the basic gist of the strategy. I help homeowners who have lost their home to foreclosure get money back from the government. How does that work? Let me explain it to you. So this property that you see in this picture went to a foreclosure sale. So this particular case, the homeowners had passed away, and so no one was making the payments. And there was about $150,000 owed on this property. Well, when a property gets foreclosed on, it will go up for an auction. And the public has the opportunity to bid on these properties and to buy them. So what happened in this case is when this property went to auction, the investor that bought it paid about $175,000. Well, remember, the bank was only owed $150,000. So after subtracting attorney's fees and everything, there was $23,000 left over. And this is the strategy. You help the homeowners recover this money that's left over from the foreclosure sale and get it back to them. And when you do that, you can collect a commission on the back end. And so in this particular case, the homeowners had passed away, so we worked with the heirs of the homeowners. And I basically did all the work. I hired an attorney. We took care of everything for them, and we paid all the expenses. And they didn't have to do anything. All they had to do was sign some paperwork. And then a few months later, we sent them a check for their portion. And then my net profit was $10,000. So this is the basic strategy, okay? And this is a real life example of a deal I did. Here's examples of a couple more, okay? Here's a property. We recovered $42,000. Our net profit was $8,000. So we only took, the commission that you can make could be anywhere from 20%, 30%, 40%, sometimes more, sometimes less. It's whatever you can negotiate. On this one, we only did 20%. But what I like about this business is it actually helps people. And let me explain this case study. This property, we took a lower commission, but still $8,000 is not bad. But what was so cool about this case is the homeowners actually used the money that we recovered for them to work out a deal with the investor and buy their house back. So they didn't have to move out, and they were actually to get their house back. They didn't lose it to foreclosure. And so oftentimes you're actually helping people, recover money that they didn't even know was there, and helping them either start again, start a new life. And so that's why I really like this business. Is it's it can be lucrative, but it also helps people. It provides a service. Okay. And again, I'm not buying these properties. I'm not fixing them, not rehabbing them. So there's not a lot of money that you need up front, and there's not a lot of risk involved either. Let me do a couple more case studies and then we'll get back to it. Here's a property. We recovered $39,000. Net profit was $15,000. Here's another property, $79,000. Our net profit was $23,000. So those are just, some examples of deals that we've done. Okay. And again, I show you that not to brag, but to show you that this is a real life strategy that I have experience in, and that can change your life just as it changed my life. Okay. Now, again, you're here because you're probably looking for a change in your life. You're looking, and I talked about this, maybe you're looking to make more money, whatever it is, okay? But there's a problem or a change that you're facing and you want to fix it. So I want to talk more about you and what you may be experiencing right now, and share my story with you and see if you can relate. What I've found is there's usually 4 problems that we all can relate to, or that we may all have in common, or that we may want to overcome and solve. And these were the problems that I was facing as a corrections officer. Okay, so I want to talk about that with you, and kind of go deep on these problems, because it's really important to understand, how deep and what one problem can cause as far as pain and other problems in our life. Because if we don't recognize the problems, we can't solve them and create new realities for ourselves. Okay. So I want to go over that with you. Problem number 1 is you may feel you don't have control over your time, and thus you feel like a slave to your current job or business. This was me, 100%. I felt like a slave in my business. Well, not my business, but my job as a corrections officer. And I mentioned that I worked the graveyard shift, worked 12-hour graveyard shifts. And I'll tell you, I started working there in 2014. I got married that same year. And for the first 3 years of my marriage, I did not spend Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, basically any holiday you can think of, did not spend it with my wife or my family. Why? Because I was at work. That's how it works. Especially when you're a new guy, you get stuck on the crappy schedule. And I even remember when I got married later in the year, I had to beg my supervisors for a week off so I could take her on a honeymoon. Because when I worked there at the prison, You couldn't just take a day off. You had to schedule your vacation days or the days you took off a year in advance. That's how it was. Absolutely no control of your time. Being in the National Guard, even though it's a part-time gig, the National Guard, if you're in the military, if you've ever been in the military, you may know you have no control of your time. If somebody says you're going to XYZ place, then you go. No questions asked. There is no control of your time. And so I faced this problem and I wanted to fix it. I wanted to be able to take vacation whenever and not have to get approval from a supervisor. I didn't want to be at the control of somebody else. Okay. So this is a problem, but this also causes other problems in our life. Think about a moment, if you can relate to this. How has your job or your business and you working long hours, how has that affected your marriage? How has that affected the relationship with your kids? How about your other families and friends? I mean, we work so hard for the ones we love, but the downside is when we come home, the last thing we want to do is play with the kids or have a conversation with our spouse. At least for me anyway. What I want to do is go relax, go unwind, watch TV, watch football, whatever it is for you. Maybe you can relate to that. I don't know. Hopefully you can. But that's another problem. Our relationships are weakened because of this problem that we're talking about here. I remember I would go days without talking to my wife because when I would get home from the graveyard shift, she would be waking up to go to work, and there'd be several days where we wouldn't see each other or talk to each other. And so maybe you can relate to this. Because you work so much, it negatively affects the relationship with your family, your kids, your spouse, your friends, whatever. But here's the other part that's crazy too is when we feel stuck and we feel like a slave to our job and that we can't get out, we begin to resent the people that we love. Because we're working so hard for them, right? But then if we feel stuck and we can't escape, we may begin to blame our spouse or our kids for the reason that we feel like a slave. Have you ever felt that? Very strange place to be, but it's a reality. At least it's something that I faced. Maybe it's something you haven't faced. Let's talk more. What about your health, your physical health? How has not being in control of your time affected you physically? After a long day, the last thing you want to do is go to the gym. And then let alone, it's not like you want to meal prep or cook healthy foods. So what do? You go to McDonald's, order off the dollar menu. It's quick and easy. I did that. One thing you'll notice if you ever walk into a prison or a county jail, you will notice the number of officers that are fat and obese. That's the truth. And you'd be amazed by it. And that's just what it is. I mean, that's one thing that I noticed when I first started working at the prison is how many of the officers were so out of shape and obese. And here's the other thing I noticed is we would get emails of ex-officers who had retired. We would get notifications of when they had passed away. And what I started seeing is a lot of these officers were dying of heart attacks, diabetes, like preventative health issues. And the other thing was they were dying within 10 years, usually, of their retirement. Did you know that the average life expectancy, you can Google this, the average life expectancy for a corrections officer is 59 years old. And so as I became aware of these things, I started to ask myself, is this really where I want to be? And can I change it? Maybe you've had that question yourself. Maybe not having control of your time has affected you spiritually. I know maybe the environment you work in is not great. For me, I became a very negative, jaded person, very distrusting and just angry. And my faith weakened working in that environment. And then, of course, if you feel like a slave to your job, how are you going to show up to your job? How are you going to perform your functions? If you feel like a slave, you're just going to go punch in and punch out, collect the paycheck, right? So that means you're not going to get those promotions you're looking for. You're not going to create the business revenue that you're looking for because you resent your job. You hate your job. And so this leads us to the second problem, which is this. You don't make enough money in your current job or business. Okay? I'm sure we can all relate to this one. Have you ever stressed about paying your bills? Have you ever fought with your spouse about money? Have you ever told your kids, we can't afford that? I've been there. I've stressed over bills, worked overtime to make ends meet. Maybe you can relate to that as well. Worst of all, here's the worst part about not making enough money is you don't have choices or options that you could have. What do I mean by this? I remember there were times where I just wanted to take my wife out to a nice meal, but couldn't. Wasn't in the budget. Couldn't afford it. Couldn't take her to a nice restaurant, once a month or whatever. Maybe you can relate to that. Here's another thing, another story real quick. When I was a newlywed, just gotten married. It was before we got married, but I knew that I had to take my wife on a honeymoon, right? But didn't have the money to make it fancy, or like we couldn't go to Europe or anything. And so I was walking through my dad's office, and I looked down into a trash can, and I saw this paper that was like, it said 5 nights, 5 days, 4 nights to Cancun, Mexico. Flights included or something, $300, something like that. It was like $300 or $400, and it had a phone number on it. So I took this paper out of the trash can, and this paper came from the fax machine, and I called this number, and I paid for this Cancun vacation trip. And then later, after I paid for it, was like, maybe I should research this, and couldn't find a website, couldn't find reviews. And I was like, crap, I just got scammed. Luckily, it panned out and it wasn't a scam, but man, was it sketchy. And I had to do that because I couldn't afford to take my wife on a nice honeymoon. So I resorted to this vacation offer that I found in a garbage can. So, another thing is health-wise, you can't invest in gym memberships or food when you don't make enough money. Maybe you've avoided going to, say, the dentist or the doctor because you knew about the medical bill that would follow. You knew that there was going to be something out of pocket. I'm guilty of that. I'm guilty of not going to get some health needs taken care of because I didn't want to deal with the medical bills because I didn't think I could afford it, even with insurance. I've been there. If you're constantly worried about paying the bills and the stress, we talked about how it can affect your marriage. Maybe you fight with your spouse. We talked about how it can affect your body. It's going to affect your performance at work, your business. Let's talk about spiritually, or just your well-being. Not physical well-being, but like emotional well-being. Here's the thing. Not having money, not having the resources, it keeps you from being able to help those that you truly care about. Maybe you can relate to this. Maybe you've had a loved one that had a medical emergency that you wish you could help them ease their burden of their medical bills, but you just didn't have the resources. Or maybe you can relate to this. This is something that has happened to me. Have you ever looked and seen, maybe on social media, on Facebook, like a GoFundMe account and then a story? Maybe it's a story of like a young child that just got cancer and needs help for cancer treatments. And so they're asking for donations. Maybe it's a family that just lost all of their possessions in a fire. Or someone else that just went through a car accident and lost a loved one or needs help with medical bills. And you read these stories. There's so many people out there that need help. And you read these stories and you say, I wish I could donate and help them, but I just can't because I don't have the money to do it. I've been there. I've wished that I could help people, but I just couldn't because I didn't have the financial resources. And that sucks. I hate feeling that way. I hate feeling hopeless. And maybe you've felt hopeless before. And that's something that causes me a lot of pain. And maybe you've experienced that. And so, again, we're talking about these problems and how they cascade to other problems and other pain points. Here's the biggest thing, guys. If we don't make enough money, we hurt those we love the most. Let me say that again. If we don't make enough money, we hurt those we love the most. What do I mean by this? Well, if we are not making enough money, we cannot provide the lifestyle, the financial help, the good health, care, good food. We cannot provide these things to those we love because those things take money. We cannot create those memorable experiences that we may desire. Can't take them on nice vacations because those things need money. We cannot provide for security and well-being if we aren't making enough money. Money is very important. It can do a lot of good in a lot of people's lives, and it can do a lot of good in your life and for your family. But if we don't have enough of it, there's a lot of problems we got to overcome. A lot of stress, a lot of worry. And so I want to show you what's possible. And so you don't have to deal with these problems anymore. Let me show you real quick. Again, I want to show you that, I come from a place where I grew up middle class, like lower middle class. I didn't grow up with a silver spoon in my mouth. I've not made a lot of money in my life. Like, here are my tax returns. I want to be as honest and transparent with you as I can. Okay. So I told you I started working at the corrections as a corrections officer in 2014. Prior to that, I worked part-time as a seasonal employee for the Forest Service. I did lots of jobs. I was on a recreation crew, which basically means I got paid to clean toilets for the Forest Service. Yeah. I love that job, but it's not the most glorious job because we got to do other things, but I clean poop, guys. That's what I used to do before I was a corrections officer. I was a seasonal employee for the Forest Service, and I made less than probably 30, more like probably less than 25 grand a year doing that job. So in 2014, I got a real job, correction officer. Here's what I made. $45,000 in 2014. Now, my wife was also, again, Now I've blacked out our socials and my wife's name because I don't think you need to know that. But this is if you look right here, it's a joint return. So me and my wife filed jointly. So my wife was working part-time as well and brought in about 10 to 15 grand a year. So take this number, subtract 10 grand off of it, and that's what I was making as a corrections officer. So about 35. 2015, again, she also worked. So subtract 10 off this, so I made about 37. That's not a lot of money, guys. That's like barely, like way below median for the United States. Yeah, not a lot of money. 2016, let's check this out. 2016, I promoted and became a probation officer, and I made 53,000. Pretty awesome. But here's the thing: when you've got a mortgage and you've got bills, like, there's not a lot of money left over at the end of the day. So I just wanted to show you this to kind of show you where I come from and where I've been. Okay. I know what it's like to not make a lot of money. Let's move on. Problem number 3. You lack the skills, knowledge, and resources to create a new stream of income for yourself. So I had a mentor. He said, one of the things he taught was basically that, I'm trying to think exactly how he said it because I don't want to mess it up. But basically he said, the skills that got you here will not get you there. There being where you want to go. Again, the skills that got you here will not get you there. So basically it means if you want to create change, if you want to create a new reality for your life, the skills and the knowledge that you have now will not be enough to get you to where you want to go. And I think this is the biggest thing that keeps people in the same place, the same spot. Is it's not a lack of resources, it's a lack of skills and a lack of knowledge. I think we live in a day and age where you can go to YouTube and learn new skills and then use those skills to help others and to serve people and then receive, the financial benefit. But if you can't get new skills, you can't create a new reality. And so this is a huge problem. I mean, this affects us in our body. I mean, if you don't know what to eat, how can you lose weight? Or if you don't know how much protein intake you need, how can you gain muscle? In your marriage, if you don't know how to effectively communicate and how to, put yourself in other people's shoes, how good of a husband or father or mother are you going to be? Son, daughter, sister, brother, whatever it is. There's all these skills that we need to learn. Think about it in your life. Have you ever been promoted or gotten a new job and you had to learn a new skill, or you knew that you had to gain some skills, or you weren't going to stay in that job for long, or you weren't going to keep that promotion? Have you ever had to take a class or get a certification or a degree so that you could qualify for a new job or position? Like, gaining new skills and knowledge is what helps us advance and create new change. And so if we lack the skills necessary to get what we want, then we just can't get to that destination that we seek. Okay? So bottom line, if you don't gain new knowledge, new skills, you cannot create a new reality for yourself. Here's the other thing I want to point out. There's going to be a price. You have to pay a price for what you want in life. Nothing in life is free. I mean, for real. I mean, this is what I mean. You're going to have to pay a price for what you want, whether it's a price in money, in time, or in some sort of sacrifice. Meaning you're going to have to sacrifice something you may want to do something that you know you need to do. For example, maybe you have to sacrifice going out to the club on Friday nights so that you can work on your business or work on, whatever it is that's going to make you money or your new side income. Or maybe you have to sacrifice going to Starbucks for a whole year so you can save money to get, where you want to go, to get out of debt or something, whatever it is. Maybe you have to invest in a course or in college or something. You have to pay money to get that knowledge and to get those skills that are going to take you where you need to go. For me, I've paid a price. I've spent thousands of dollars on courses and education, on seminars to help me get to where I am now. And I continue to spend thousands of dollars. I spend hours of time trying to figure things out and implement what I learn and taking action. And so just keep this in mind, guys. You need to get new skills and knowledge, but you also need to implement them and be prepared to pay a price for what you want. Let's talk about the last problem. Problem number 4 is you have experienced failure and are unhappy with your current situation, but deep down know there is a greater possibility for you. Have you ever asked yourself if you are meant for something greater? Have you ever asked yourself, why are you where you currently are? And why do you stay there? Maybe you have a greater vision for yourself. I had a lot of these moments working at the prison. I remember one day I was working in maximum security. This is where all the death row inmates were, some of the most dangerous criminals. And there I was with a mop, mopping up the blood of an inmate after he decided to cut his wrists open. He didn't die, but I remember thinking as I was mopping up the blood and cleaning up the mess, is this what I get to look forward to for the next 20 plus years? Or is there something better? I remember another time I was working the mental health facility, and we were doing checks to make sure, the inmates didn't harm themselves. And I looked into the cell and I saw this man drinking out of his toilet, and human feces covered all over the walls and all over the floor. And just couldn't help but think if there was something else out there for me. If I could find another way to make money, find a different place to work so I didn't have to see these things. So I could be with my wife, not have to schedule my vacation a year in advance, actually provide a good income for her so she didn't have to work. I had a lot of moments working at a prison, and maybe you've had those moments too. Maybe you're at a place in life and you wonder, I wish I was farther along, or I wish I could be somewhere else. And then the question is, why do you stay where you stay? Why not create a change? Because you can. If I can, anyone can. Just a normal guy. I mean, I showed you again what money made. I went to college and got a degree in Spanish because I didn't know what I wanted to study. Woohoo. You can change your life. But maybe you've experienced some failure. Maybe you've done some stuff. Maybe you've taken action. Maybe you started a business and you fell on your face. And those failures haunt you and they keep you from trying something new or taking new action. Maybe you don't have the full support of your spouse or your family. Maybe whenever you try something new, you get pushback from them and you get made fun of or teased. I've been there. But here's the thing, don't let your past failures dictate your future. And if you're unhappy with where you're at now, and you believe that there's something greater, a greater possibility, you need to do something about it. Maybe you're at a point in your life where you are so unhappy that you seek to escape reality. We do this through drugs, alcohol, pornography, television, sports, games, video games, Facebook, Instagram, social media, technology, food. We look for ways to ease our pain and to help us for a moment escape our reality. I've been there. I've sedated and tried to escape the reality of my life. And maybe you have too. But here's something I want to share with you is instead of sedating, instead of trying to escape by watching Netflix or turning to the bottle or partying and doing drugs, whatever it is for you, we all sedate on some level. All of us do. But I would challenge you to take that time that you would spend sedating and use that time to look for a way to change your reality so you don't have to sedate and you don't have to escape your reality. Look for ways on how you can change your situation and create a new possibility for yourself. And thank goodness that that's what I was able to do is as I started to have these questions working at the prison, if that's where I really wanted to be and if that's where I wanted to stay, I started looking for ways to get out, new ways to make money. And I had heard, about real estate and that a lot of people had made money in real estate. So that's what I went for. I started learning about real estate. And through that process, and I'll share more with that with you later on, I was able to change things and leave my job and make a better income. So you can do the same thing. You can change your reality. You just need some new knowledge and some new skills in order to do it. So let's talk about the possibilities. What's possible for you, okay? All right. Possibility. So I'm going to review again the problem and then I state the possibility. So problem number one we talked about, you don't control your time and thus feel like a slave to your current job or business. What is the possibility? You control your time, can choose to work when and where you want. You're free. This is a big deal. How would it be for you if you just had options? If you just had the choice of when to work, where to work? What would that do for you in your life? This is what it looks like for me. Okay, this is a picture on the far left of the mountains in the background. This is a picture of me and my wife in Switzerland. In the middle picture, again, me and my wife in Greece. This was one trip to Europe. Before we had our son. On the right-hand side, you'll see me and my wife and my son on a different trip to Spain. So in the first trip, we went to Switzerland and then we went to Greece. We also visited England. The second trip with our son, we went to Spain, Portugal, Morocco. This is what the new possibility is for me, and this is my reality now. Is I can choose when I work, where I work. I can choose when I go on vacation. All that good stuff. And so this is possible for you. Whatever it is for you, whatever that new reality is, you can create it for yourself. Okay? You can control your time. and choose to work when and where you want. You can have that freedom. Okay, problem number 2 and possibility number 2. You do not make enough money in your current job or business. That's the problem. Number 2 is you make plenty of money, enough to pay bills, provide for others, and enjoy life. How would it be if you didn't have to stress about your bills? How would it be if you knew that you could retire and you would never run out of money? How would it be if you didn't have to fight about money? If you could take your spouse to a nice meal, if you could take your family on vacation? How would that be if you had the resources to donate to the charities and the people that you care about and the causes that you care about? How would that change your life? Money to invest in your health, to serve others. How would that be different? How would your life be different after that? Let me show you again. See if I can bring it up here. Let me show you some real deals again of what's possible with this strategy. And we're going to get to the meat of the strategy later on, but we just have to understand the problems that we're up against. So this is a property. We recovered $27,000. Our net profit was $6,000. Here's a property. We recovered $28,000. Net profit was $11,000. Copy of the check, or the receipt of the check. Spelled my name wrong on this one. Anyway, here's another one. We recovered $39,000. Our net profit was $11,000. This one, we recovered $72,000. Our net profit was $29,000. Here's another one. $60,000 we recovered. Net profit was $18,000. These are real life deals, guys. These are deals that I've done. And I can tell you that doing deals like these totally changed my life, as far as totally changed my income, for that matter. Let me show you something again. See if I can bring it up here. I want to show you the difference in my income in 2017 and 2018. So 2017 was when I quit my job as a corrections officer. Well, at the time I was a probation officer then, because I promoted. So I made about $49,000 my last year in business. 2018 was my first year working this business full time. Now, I had done some deals prior to this. If you notice, let's see if I can bring it up again. You can notice on the old on the other slideshows I sent you. Let's see, this will be faster. So here, if you notice in 2015, 2016, I have some business income that was in the negative. These were when I was kind of trying to figure my way through real estate. Okay. So I had done a couple deals, but what I had made did not make me more than what I had invested to learn the skills. So that's why this is negative. But I had done some deals prior to quitting in 2017. And this is where you see the business income. Now you see I had some losses, but that's part of the deal, guys. You're gonna have some failures, gonna have some losses, but these aren't huge losses compared to, I mean, negative 3,000, negative 3,000, and you compare that to, some of the profit on the deals, like 8, 10, 15, like the price that I paid was well worth it to get results like these. Okay. So keep that in mind when you're learning a new skill. Just ask yourself, is the price I'm paying today going to be worth the result for tomorrow? Okay. Now, here's 2017, quit my job. 2018, I worked this business and this strategy full time. And when I say full time, I was not working more than 30 hours a week. Okay. So, yeah, I worked full time, but not 40 hours, 30 hours or less a week. And I made 118,000. Okay. There was some other real estate deals that I did that were not this overage strategy. And so really the money I brought in from the overage strategy was about 104,000. Okay. Just want to clarify and be honest and transparent with you. So 104,000 was what I got from my overage business. Here's my name, my business name, Overage Refund Specialist. But look at this. I mean, I doubled my income, but that's not the most exciting part. The most exciting part was I was working less than 30 hours. For me, that's more exciting because you can always make more money, but you can't get back time. And one of the most precious things for me, in 2018, my son was born, my first son. And I was able to eat breakfast with him, wake up with him in the middle of the night and rock him back to sleep to let his mom rest. That time that I was able to spend with my newborn son, you can't put a price on that. You just can't. And that's what's most exciting for me is not the money, although this is very exciting. Doubling your income is very exciting. But the time that I got back because I wasn't working the graveyard shift at the prison, or I didn't have to go to the office when I was a probation officer. That's what's most important to me. As of the recording of this, we've already doubled our income this year from the overage business. So yes, we're over 200,000 now this year at the recording of this video. So again, guys, I'm just showing you the results. This isn't to brag. I'm just showing you my experience. And so you can see where I've come from and what is possible for you. I mean, hell, you may be able to make more than this. I don't know. There's a lot of smart business people out there, and I am not one of them. I did not come from a business background. You know where I come from. Just a corrections officer. No business training. No sales training. And if I can do this, man, it'd be crazy to see what someone that has business experience or has a degree in business, I don't know. I'm sure they could outperform me. Absolutely. Possibility is there. Okay, moving on. Talked about problem number 3, which is you lack the skills, knowledge, and resources to create a new income for yourself. Possibility, you have access to tools, systems, and expertise, which allows you to create predictable new streams of income. This is huge. You know, how would it be if you were able to just create that new side income and create what it is that you want while working your own hours? But the biggest thing that is helpful is if you have access to tools, to systems, expertise, such as coaches or mentors, that can make all the difference for you. I'll be the first to admit, I didn't do this on my own. I didn't create these results on my own. I bought several courses, invested money, invested time, and did what I learned to create these results. Okay. Had I not had access to those tools and that knowledge, I would not have been able to create these results. I would not have been able to do it on my own. I'm not that smart. Some people are. I am not one of them. So that's this is huge. Having access to mentors and coaches and knowledge, and being able to follow someone that's being able to follow in someone's footsteps that has been where you are and that is where you want to go is huge and extremely valuable. Okay, let's talk about the final possibility. Oh, again, this is just here. I'll show you guys this. Again, my tax returns, but I'll also show you my business website. Just so you know again that I actually do this business. Oh, not responding. There we go. So this is my business website, Overdue Refund Specialist. Again, you can see I'm not just teaching this, guys. I actually do this business. Here's some testimonials of clients we've had. Here's some examples of cases we've done, money we've recovered, people we've helped. And these are just a handful of the cases we've done. Here's another review for us. So I wanted you to see that again so you know that I actually do this business. Okay. See if I can pull up the slideshow again. Sorry about this, guys. I'm not a technologically savvy person. Here we go. Look forward to where we were. This is how you know that I'm not some sales guru, as I barely know how to work a computer. All right, final problem possibility. You're unhappy with your current situation, but know there is a greater possibility for you. Possibility. You have created a new and desirous reality for you and your family. For your life and family, excuse me. So what does this look like for you guys? What does your new reality look like for you and your family? I've showed you mine. Here's some more pictures. This is a different trip that we took. With me and my son, we were able to go to Asia for almost 4 weeks. We went to Hong Kong, Bali, Cambodia, and Thailand. And we were gone for almost a month. So for me, it's about spending time with my family and creating memorable experiences. That's what it's all about for me. But you get to choose what it is for you and what that looks like for you. So the next step, before we move on, I just want you to picture in your mind, picture what it is you want, what it is you want to change. And if you see potential, if in what I've done, if you see some potential and think that what I've showed you can help you in your life, then follow me on the next step. All you have to do is click the button below and we'll go continue our journey together. And I will show you the path that I took, and we'll get more into the nitty-gritty details of, you know, the process and the path and how you can start your own path and begin making change for yourself. And so again, if you need to, close your eyes, but picture the new reality. What is it that you want to accomplish? What is it that you want to do? What is it that you want to have? What is it that you want to experience? What is it that you want to provide for yourself and for your family? Picture that in your mind. Picture that for a moment. Feel it, see it. Now ask yourself if you're willing to do what it takes to get what you want. Let's go on the path. Let's continue our journey. Click on the button below, and I'll see you on the other side. Thanks, guys.